being extended to the United States. Big news coming in. Iran finally confirming that their supreme leader has been killed. Ayatollah Ali Khamenei killed in that joint strike that was conducted by the United States and Israel yesterday. And this is bound to have a ripple effect. Remember, as Iran has already said that they will not let go of this. Let me quickly take this forward with Sanjay Suri, who's currently stationed in Tel Aviv. Sanjay, finally a confirmation coming in from the Iranian side that Khamenei has indeed been killed.
It's hardly likely that Trump would have put out that post if he was not absolutely certain of it. Israel and the Mossad, particularly the intelligence agency and the external intelligence agency of Israel, would have been the prime mover and the prime factor in intelligence gathering. Certainly they would have been completely reliable information about where he is, when he is, before they struck, and that attack would have likely decided, the timing of that attack would likely have been decided once they knew exactly where he was. And so that attack was carried out. Certainly they would have made sure that it succeeds, and they would have verified that the death has taken place before making an announcement. So it was hardly likely that President Trump would have made that announcement and then discover that Khamenei is well and kicking after all. But this does indicate a great deal of chaos and panics really within the Iranian establishment. Once the information began to surface that Khamenei has been killed, first we had a report and a statement saying that, well, he's alive and well. Then we had an announcement, so to speak, that he's about to go to the nation in a televised address to convince people he's alive and well. That didn't happen. Then came a statement saying that, well, he's alive and well, even if he has not made that statement. So now we have this. The question now is, what next? Who can be named? Whoever is named will have a death warrant on that name, on himself straight away. That person becomes the next target. And if the intelligence from Israel and the US was good enough to got Khamenei, it will be good enough to get the next person. So who will come forward, or will there be anyone in a hurry at all? Or will a cohort of leaders collectively take decisions without anyone being singled out publicly for it?
Stay with me, Sanjay. I want to bring in Aman and Siddhant as well. Aman, remember, it's important to put it out there for our viewers how this has all unfolded in the last 24 hours. It began with a daylight assault. One, as was confirmed by the Israeli and the US officials, was meant to decapitate the Iranian leadership. Plumes of smoke were seen rising in that satellite imagery that came out from the compound where Khamenei actually resided. And then this was 9:30 a.m. in Tehran local time when that daylight assault happened. And this was actually very different because most of the bombings that take place in these closely coordinated joint strikes are nighttime operations. This was a daylight operation. Soon after, they said that they had eliminated senior leadership, and within 24 hours we've seen Iran retaliate. This has been a historic last 24 hours, which of course is going to change the overall historic trajectory of the Middle East. Aman?
Well, absolutely, Akanksha. This is big news. So a little over 3 hours after Donald Trump made it public that Khamenei has been killed in the US-Israel joint strike yesterday, now Iran is confirming the same, that their supreme leader Khamenei has been killed in the US-Israel joint strike yesterday on the compound where Mr. Khamenei used to live in Tehran. That was bombed yesterday in a very coordinated and targeted strike, as Donald Trump has described it to be. It is believed that Mr. Khamenei was in talks with his core group at that particular time when this strike has happened. It has not just killed Khamenei, it has also killed the top leadership of Iran, the political leadership, as well as the family of Khamenei, his daughter, his grandchild, other members of his family have also been killed in this big strike. This is the big moment, historic moment, Akanksha, after nearly 4 decades of being the supreme leader of Iran. Khamenei is finally dead, and it has taken Donald Trump, his patience running out after negotiations were going on with Iran, the talks were going on, but he had fixed that 10-day deadline, and as soon as the 10-day deadline was over, Trump has proven true to his word. He has taken out one of the most ruthless, I would say, leaders in the world in Khamenei with a very, very targeted strike by US Israel yesterday. This is huge news. This is going to change the Middle East like it has never before.
Absolutely, and Siddharth, we've been talking about this, how Iran has no option, but it seems like, there is, of course, the IRGC is still very much standing tall. They are digging in their heels, but they are finding themselves extremely isolated because Hamas, Hezbollah, they have been in fact completely or eliminated. They are waning thin in terms of their own force. All that Iran currently has is IRGC, and if going by the claims that the US president has been making with its own set of confirmations, the other big claim he's made is that the IRGC and the military along with the police have all indicated that they are looking towards immunity, and the only way for them to find that immunity is that they surrender. So is it that the mission for the United States and Israel to orchestrate this regime change has actually succeeded?
Well, Akanksha, with this acknowledgement, with this confirmation that Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei is dead, perhaps could increase uncertainty not only in Iran but whole of the region, because this could also mean, Akanksha, that hardliners within the IRGC could consolidate power, rival clerics faction could clash, and domestic unrest could intensify. Now, Supreme Leader's secretariat comprises of the top clerics in Iran, perhaps the advisors to the Supreme Leader. Now, there will definitely be a struggle for power. IRGC, as we were discussing before with Aman, that IRGC is the elite commando force of Iran. And the job of IRGC is to protect the regime, to protect the Supreme Leader. Now, the generals in IRGC are very powerful. They are in control of sophisticated weapons, missile systems, nuclear sites, etc., etc. Then Basij, again, the paramilitary force of Iran, they control the roads and streets of Iran. They are again very powerful. So this could lead Iran into more uncertainty. We could if succession plan could not get implemented rightly, because there are some reports suggesting that the vice president could take over, etc., etc. All those things, chatter is going on social media. President Trump said in one of his interviews that United States has succession plan and they have eligible people for the job. He said that. So United States will definitely be wanting somebody who could be some Venezuela kind of an arrangement in Iran. I'll put it this way, Akanksha. But definitely IRGC and the clerics will want somebody from IRGC will want somebody from their force to be leading the country or control in their hands. The clerics will want the control in their hands. So I think this acknowledgement, this confirmation is perhaps could lead Iran into
IRIB, times. Which is the Iranian state media, has confirmed that the death of Iran's supreme leader has indeed happened. That is the big news this hour. Let's also quickly listen in to another reaction that's coming.
ایشان در پاسخ همه اصرارها فرمود چرا باید وقتی مردم و خانواده هایشان زیر آتش دشمنند من و خانواده‌ام به پناهگاه برویم. چه سالها و دهه‌ها که در دعاهای شبانه با اشک و تضرع از خدای شهیدان مرگ سرخ و لقاء خونی.
IRIB, which is the state broadcaster of Iran, has in fact made that big announcement over there that we were just playing out to you on your screens, that the supreme leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei has indeed been killed. This was in the joint strike. The US has called it Operation Epic Fury. He's been eliminated yesterday. Now the other big question is to do with the succession. Let me quickly bring in Sanjay Suri also on that note. Sanjay, going by all the claims that Donald Trump has been making, he's been delivering upon it. The first big claim was that indeed Khamenei has been killed. Second big claim is that the IRGC is looking for immunity. That means that it will be the US deciding who gets to rule Iran. He's also gone on to say that he indeed knows who he wants to lead Iran. That's very critical at the moment. Weigh in on that, because we've also heard that detailed message from Reza Pahlavi, which he's posted on X.
You know, let's say that a lot of IRGC, and it will never be all of it, decide to do what Trump wants, just surrender. Who will they surrender to? Who is in Tehran that they will surrender to? It's not Israel, it's not the US, it's Iranians. There's nobody else in the world who is in Tehran. Nobody else in the world is going to get there in a hurry. So what we would then have to have is a section of IRGC surrendering to another section of IRGC, which means that a section of IRGC says that we will abandon our ways, abandon our policies. IRGC is IRGC name, but it's a transformed force. It's a secular force. It's a completely different kind of force. We will then import the Shah's son, Reza Pahlavi. He will come, ensure democracy, elections, a new government is elected, all done. Do we see all this happening in a great hurry? There is a fundamental question here. IRGC derives such legitimacy as it believes it has from a certain kind of an Islamist arrangement and Islamist structure that has been ruling Iran. Will they abandon it altogether, even if the majority of people are opposed to it? This is a section that has put down that majority again and again. Will they surrender their ways? Will they completely transform themselves? And it would then have to be a collective transformation. Short of that, we will be looking at a civil war, and a civil war starting from within the IRGC. So there's a lot that will need to be done, and a lot that will need to happen before we can see the kind of change that Trump envisages.
Aman, the kind of retaliation we've seen coming from Iran is unprecedented in nature, at least in the recent past, in the recent decades, so to say. Do we see this now coming to a pause, given that Iran has finally confirmed the demise of the supreme leader? He indeed is no longer there, puts them even in a further more vulnerable position.
Well, Akanksha, see, US has decapitated Iran yesterday, you know, with the taking out of Khamenei, who's been at the helm in Iran for almost 4 decades. This is a huge strike, you know, and it's taken finally US and Israel joining hands for this very well coordinated, I think a very well planned strike. Also, as you were mentioning earlier, this has happened in bright daylight, you know, not in late at night. Israel has chosen to carry out the strike along with the US in broad daylight, also I think catching Iran by surprise, because everybody was expecting all these days that when US and Israel strike, it will be late at night, and that also explains the pinpointed intelligence that Israel had, that where Khamenei is, he's meeting in fact his top leadership in a compound which was bombed by Israel yesterday. And today what we are seeing after that, I think, is Iran trying to up the ante by targeting the civilian infrastructure in various other Middle East countries. But now as we speak, Akanksha, Israel is carrying out another wave of big strikes in Iran, and we hear about these big explosions happening in Tehran and other parts of Iran. And that, I think, the final effort from Israel and US is now to take out the offensive capabilities, if they are left, of Iran, because now their supreme leader is killed, the entire leadership is in a disarray, and this is the time that I think they are moving in for the kill and totally decapitate Iran and put in a new leadership in place in the days to come.
And before leadership is also ensured, Siddhant, maybe you could weigh in on after what we witnessed in the previous June strikes that took place, which were targeting nuclear enrichment sites as well. So whether it's Natanz, Fordo, Isfahan, remember yesterday they were again attacked. Will the United States and Israel ensure that this time around these nuclear sites are completely decimated, because they have ample evidence to already suggest that the nuclear enrichment is still very much going on in Iran? All right, Sanjay, you know, yesterday, remember, we were also talking about how Iran's the scientist, the chief scientist or the leader looking after their nuclear program had also been eliminated in the strikes. That in itself has it's also going to in fact pose a huge hurdle when it comes to taking Iran's nuclear enrichment program any further. Are we now also going to see US strikes targeting these nuclear sites and ensuring that they are completely decimated?
Most certainly, that will be a prime aim now of the US and Israeli forces. It will be the nuclear sites, it will be the missile facilities and the missile launching centers that are scattered around Iran. It is these that will have to be neutralized if a degree of normalcy has to be returned to the entire region by way of air travel and by way of shipping through the Strait of Hormuz. So it is going to be a continuing problem as long as Iran has a missile launching capacity. It seems to be the aim of the US and Israel that the way to tackle this is not to attack every launcher physically, but to attack the top, attack the leadership itself, and that they have done quite effectively, which of course also tells us that the Iranians were not very smart. The whole world has seen this build up. The whole world knows and has known that Khamenei is the first target, and they couldn't protect him. There he was sitting in his own place where everyone would expect him to be, not hidden in some bunker that then has to be detected. So the Iranians are really not on top of the game. They haven't been able to protect their own leader. Will they be able to protect all of their nuclear sites? Will they be able to protect all the ballistic missiles that they have and that they have very proudly displayed and boasted of? It's not very clear. It will depend upon what kind of